50-50, okay? 50% on the left, 50% on the right side. If I would manage to unweight his left side, I can attack his left side. So let's see it in a reference of a throw by. If I can hip check my partner, so I use my hip against his hip. And hip checking doesn't mean that you only go against the hip. You can also go against the crotch. Okay, I can also do it against the crotch. It's even more powerful, but the hip is easily accessible. So if I do this, stop, you see what I did? I unweighted his left side. Stay like this, Linus. So now, if I want to attack his left side with uchimatas or with throw bys, it's very hard for Linus to come back. Okay? So every time, thank you, I succeed with a hip check, this is the perfect timing to attack. And I do it simultaneously most of the time. You don't want to hip check, attack, or attack and hip check. You want to do both at the same time. So let's look at from the overall perspective. Let's say we have mercy grips this time. So it could be 50-50. And we are fighting for whatever. Linus tries to push me. I try to bring my weight into him. Okay, he will probably move me a little bit. So that should be okay. I monitor the hip inside position all the time. He will do the same thing. If an underdog player is not monitoring the hip inside position, so step to the outside, I don't need to do anything. If he walks into me, this is pretty much an uchimata. He is unweighting his own left side. It's on the outside. So step to the outside so I can demonstrate it. If he's on the outside and my head is not behind my hips, the moment I go forward, you see what happens to the weight? It's on his right side. So I don't need to hip check anymore. He hip checked himself pretty much. But let's assume we have a good partner and he wants to have hip inside position. So the moment he goes into me, I will win the hip inside position and I will hip check. Because of the hip check, the weight is distributed. And this is the perfect timing to do all the attacks. The closer you hip check to your partner, the better. So if I hip check here, this is good. But if I hip check through my partner, this would be the best. Can you stay behind this line so I can demonstrate it? Behind this, like this, perfect. So if I'm hip checking, I'm not only hip checking here, I try to hip check through my partner. So I do something like this, okay? It's just not visible because he moves with me, okay? So if I hip check, I'm not hip checking just like this. I think I try to hip check through my partner. And the more you go into your partner, the easier it will be to throw your partner. Just because you unweight more of his left side or his lower body. Hip checking can be even worse for the partner if you unweight the complete lower body. If you go for high amplitude throws, let's say you go for an oguruma, for example. An oguruma is where you kick the hip. It's not a harai goshi. So when you do this, usually you unweight both legs. Because I hip check so far, now his weight is away from his legs. You see what I mean? This hip check will be brutal. So if you really hip check through your partner, you can throw them with a very high amplitude throw. And it's only because you unweight everything. So understand why hip checking is important. Understand why all the grips that we are talking about and movements are important. It's not only to do them, to replicate it. If we're not understanding what we do with them, they are meaningless. But if you do, you can beat a lot of people without knowing any technique. So now we will come to my favorite or second favorite technique from the overhook, the uchimata. And I would suggest to you guys to play the uchimata 90% of the time from the overhook if we are in this situation, okay, in the lazy underhook situation, or even if my partner has head position, doesn't matter. As long as we are here and we break the head forward, 90% of the time you want to go for the uchimata. I know the harai goshis, the ugurumas, the stuff when you go deeper and you kick your partner's leg away is cool, but it's not the best suited for jiu-jitsu. It can be uncontrolling when you land, and it can be very high risk if you're not really unweighting your partner's lower body with a strong hip check. So if you can, go most of the time for the uchimata. And this is the first thing I teach the people from the overhook. So I teach it with the wrist grip first and with the hip checking method. So let's say my partner has good positioning. If he doesn't have good positioning, we just uchimata immediately, okay? If his leg is on the outside, we don't need to do anything. You can just kick your partner immediately, okay? So we have the wrist. We can use all of the methods that we looked at, or we can just drill it easily without any method. We can do it from his walking into me, while he's walking into me. I can hip check, and then I can go. Okay, I will show it without anything, but understand that you can do it from everything. So if I want to do the Uchimata, I want to step as close to my partner as possible. And what I like to do is put my foot in the same direction where his foot goes. So his foot goes right there. So in the end, I also want to point my foot to the same direction. I hope you guys see this. Okay? And from here, I can start to hip check my partner. And the better I hip check, the closer I can come to my partner and the more I can kick him. So the movement looks something like this. Let's do it without anything. Just stay right here. It looks something like this. Up, up, up. One more time. Up, up, up. If Linus goes away, we assume that Linus is on this line. I go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so stay in the line. So maybe we can demonstrate this. And now I can use the wrist grip to move my partner. Whoop, whoop. And now I can start to Uchimata my partner. I will talk about the Uchimata in a second, how to do it properly. But understand that if you hip check your partner, it's very, very easy to kick the leg and bring your partner down with an Uchimata. So now without Linus. If I really want to force the Uchimata and I have the movement down, I kick it as high as I can.